Today, I'm here with Mudit Gupta. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Mudit. I work for Snowflake as lead competitive intelligence and product marketing professional. But at home, I'm mostly a dad, a curious nerd, and a big runner. I used to run a lot. I love learning how things work, especially all the new age tools. And I'm always curious to learn about what else is out there. I'm really happy to be here.
Nice. So, would you mind telling us what field of STEM you work in and what made you choose this field?
Yeah, sure. Well, I work for Snowflake, and before Snowflake, I used to run a startup of my own in the area of agentic AI. If you think about Snowflake, we're really a AI data cloud company. Essentially, in simple terms, I really help build tools that turns messy data or information into insights that companies can make decisions on. And the reason I chose this field really is because I've always been fascinated with, uh, you know, behind data. What are the insights? What's going on? What's really going on behind all these charts, all this fancy data? Like I remember looking at all these news channels. They'll have all these insights and all this information that they show in bar charts or pie charts. I would always wonder, where does that information come from? What does it really mean? So that's truly what I'm excited to do.
Yeah. It's kind of the whole point of what AI is for, to help make people understand things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think a common user will could earlier never leverage data to make intelligent observations. There has to be someone. There has to be a translator. Generally, journalist houses or big, large companies, which will make that translation for you. But now with AI, you and me, users of technology, can make that translation on their own. I think that's what's fascinating about this field today.
Yeah. Okay. Was there a specific moment or event that made you realize you wanted to do this for your life?
Wow. Well, I don't know if there was a specific moment, but I will certainly say, I was always fascinated with how things work. Like as a kid, I remember when we used to get something, someone used to give away something to us. I used to buy something like toys, right? I was less fascinated with the toy. I was more fascinated with how that toy work. So I would always break down a toy or break down the mechanics and see how does the gear work, how does it show up on the screen, what exactly are the bolts in there. So I personally have been always very excited about engineering side of things and application of those engineering principles on things. Um, and also asking the right questions, right? I mean, what I also learned is you can ask really dumb questions to data and you get really dumb answers from data. But if you really ask smart questions, you can really get smart answers. So that to me was an interesting aha moment to start using AI and coming up with smarter questions before I can expect smarter and intelligible answers from it.
So, how do you use STEM in your daily life other than work?
Well, I use STEM to turn, as I said, huge amounts of information
Yeah.
into simple stories and narrative and decisions that the CXOs or chief executive officers in organizations take. I work with data, statistics, and AI models to understand markets, customers, and our competitors. I then translate all that into product ideas, strategies, and action plans that as organizations we should be taking. Even outside of work, I use STEM thinking. And STEM could involve even things like problem solving, testing ideas, building hypotheses, looking at evidence, right? And using all those mechanics, you can be a more effective person, right? You can make better decisions on where you should be investing your money, what kind of home you should be buying, what kind of decisions you want to take for you and your family. So STEM to me is really an integral part of all our lives. We just do not see it as STEM, but STEM is really a structured way of solving problems, hypothesizing on ideas, and coming up with ways in which you can change the way you operate.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's kind of like that STEM mindset, changes your life and your thinking. So, what skills or qualities are most important in your field?
Yeah, I think first off, as I said earlier, curiosity, right? I mean, if you are
Yeah,
a curious individual, you will figure out a lot of these things, right? I mean, companies are not working on, things can that you and I cannot understand, right? Companies are trying to do things which are pretty straightforward, pretty logical, right? So if you have a very curious and open to learn mindset, you can figure out how are these companies leveraging technology, leveraging STEM to do what they're doing, right? So I think that to me is first. Second is persistence. Um, you can look at a problem, find it very difficult, and move on. That's one approach towards life, right? Or you can really spend a lot of time in figuring it out. So to me, it's less about knowing how to solve the problem right at the outset. It's more about, do you have the perseverance, the persistence, really stay with the problem long enough so that you're able to not only understand it, but make meaningful contribution to it. And the third
yeah,
part is communication. So, as I said, the first part is curiosity. Second part is the persistence, perseverance. The third part is the communication. You need to be able to explain complex ideas into simple terms that non-technical people can understand and act on. If you come up with a great idea, if if you're unable to communicate it effectively, all those great ideas stays in your head. So that to me is another dimension of skills that you need to demonstrate.
yeah. Like going off that, like you can be all like curious as you want, but like you have to take action for
Yeah,
things you're like curious about. That's how you make the impact in your life and in the world.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely. Like even the simple act of doing this, Viraj, and being able to kind of set a conversation like this and learn from this conversation is an action. So whoever is listening to that podcast, I think those are wise words. Be curious, be open to learning, but be also be open to uh, to act on your idea, to act on your instincts.
yeah. It's kind of like that growth mindset instead,
Oh yeah,
where you
absolutely.
like if you find something challenging, like later on after building your skills over and over again, you're gonna like get better at stuff.
Yeah, and it'll not be easy. I mean, I want to be very honest here. It's not going to be an easy. You will move to that golden rainbow of things. It's going to be messy. It's going to be hard. It will not make sense for the longest period of time. I mean, I'll give you another example. I recently completed my master's from the premier institutes in the US,
Oh,
and
congratulations.
thank you. And it was a late career master's. I always wanted to go to school, do my master's. I've recently completed it. But the point I was trying to make is, as part of that master's program, I had to learn data modeling techniques like through statistical languages like R. R was one statistical language I learned. And it was not easy for me to understand or figure it out at the first go. But over weeks, over months, I was able to figure it out. And it was a messy process. But at the end of it, I was really able to create some very interesting analysis, very interesting insights that otherwise would not have been possible if I did not put the time and the effort and the energy and going to that journey, that messy journey process. That's what people ignore. You're not going to get the first win, but if you stay with it for long enough, you will reach somewhere. And that's what, to your point, a growth mindset really is.
Yeah. So going like off of AI, it's advancing really quickly. So what do you think is the most misunderstood part of AI by the general public?
Yeah. So I guess first off, AI is not new. I want to make sure people do not walk away with AI as something that just came up in the last couple of years. AI has been there since the very beginning of technology, right? I mean, AI is nothing but how can you how can you delegate some of your thinking to machines? That's what really AI is. AI is nothing more than machine doing the thinking for you. That's really it. I mean, even simple applications like calculator, they initially came up to simplify humans' ability to do large number computation. And how did it allow us to do that? By teaching machines what numbers mean. How do you multiply, subtract, add, and divide? And we have now just crossed that Rubicon, wherein we are able to talk to computers in natural language. That's really all that has changed. AI has always been there. Computation has always been there. Analysis and delegation of problem solving has always been there. It's just that you could earlier not talk to AI using natural language, but now in the last few years, we have been able to figure out or train AI to understand natural language. I think that's what has changed. And as you go forward, you'll see more and more applications of AI in our day-to-day lives. Because you and I, if we cannot code, we were earlier not able to use AI. Now, even without coding, without even understanding the technology details, we can leverage AI for our day-to-day jobs or things that we need to get done. So to me, it's going to get even more easier, even more persistent part of our lives, given how simple it's going to be to leverage AI, to leverage all the good things that will come out of it.
Okay. So, like, as AI becomes more woven into our daily life, how would you like balance AI and like humanity with like ethics?
Yeah, that's $1 million question, right? That's one of the hardest
Mhm.
questions to answer. I mean, again, goes back to my master's program. I did a semester on AI ethics, wherein and that AI becomes more and more powerful. How do you keep it ethical? How do you keep the decisions that you take ethical? And you need to understand, right? I mean, AI works with reinforcement learning. AI does what it sees people doing. AI does what our text, our published material says are the right things to do. So if humans had a twisted understanding of ethics, even AI will adopt a twisted understanding of ethics. So I guess as we think about more and more ethical behaviors coming off of AI, we need to train AI on ethical behavior with effort, and that'll require time, effort, energy, and intent. Most of the AIs have been developed with published material, and history is our guide. As a civilization, we may not have taken the most ethical decisions when in various instances of our history as a whole. And that's where I don't think we are there yet. And that's where you need a very clear swim lane for AI to guide, to inform, but not to decide. I would still believe as this journey continues, humans have to decide. Human have to use the analysis and the insights, but really make decisions and ensure that they are able to use that ethical and moral parameters in making that decision. And we need to be more intentional in training AI models to demonstrate a much higher bar of ethics that we as a civilization may not have been able to demonstrate in the hundreds of years of our history. So it's a very hard problem, one that requires a lot more investment of time, energy, and computation. But in the medium term, I would expect humans to take a dominant role, not delegate or relegate decisions to AI blindly, but be involved in some sort of a decision making process so that the decisions are of humans and not of AI. Because left to its own devices, AI is going to make decisions that may not be the most ethical ones, simply because of the machine, simply because of the learning process, which has been reinforcement learning based on our decisions, which, as I said earlier, has not been the most ethical.
You're saying we should make the decision and not let AI decide for us. Like we use AI, but AI doesn't use us.
Totally. I mean, this is what companies are doing as well, right? I mean, the idea of human in the loop is not new, right? AI does the heavy lifting, but there's always a human in the loop to review the work done by AI and make decisions, and also train AI, right? I mean, the good news is AI can learn very fast. So if you tell AI that, this was the wrong decision, this was not the most ethical decision, I, as human, would have done it differently, and this is what I would have done. AI will learn that, and hopefully, will get better as we go along. But that journey, as I said, will have to be hand in hand with the human, and that's where I guess when people say AI is going to replace our jobs, AI is going to replace, the complete roles in themselves. I think that's where it's flawed because AI is at best your co-pilot or or a junior intern, but it's certainly not a decision maker. Certainly not yet.
It's only a tool to use.
Totally.
Okay, so going back to your time as a founder, what were some of your biggest challenges when developing your startup?
Yeah. Uh, Well, just to give you some context, I set up my company after about 20 years of working in a professional environment. So when you move away from a professional environment, which is a company-based environment, when you have hundreds and hundreds of people and thousands of people working with you or you're dependent on, and you pretty much work in a system when everyone works together towards a shared goal. Um, and when you leave all of that and work on your own startup, you're pretty much playing all those roles as a single individual. So you are obviously the head of company, but you're also the head of development, head of product, head of sales, head of marketing, pretty much head of everything. So I guess what's hard when you're starting something new is not being able to be as effective in all the jobs that you should be doing. So I guess the lessons that I learned from a startup journey is have the right people right from the get go and create a team of professionals and people that you can rely on and be very clear on who does what uh, so that you are able to be an effective as a team and not as an individual. So I guess the biggest thing for a startup, including, even running this podcast, I'm sure, is to have a team of people you can work with, have your own, one person who's really good in something, second person is really good in something else, and getting those people together and forming that band. I think that's the most critical part of a startup. Once you have a band, you can figure out which song you want to play, but you cannot start with a song and then create a band. You have to have a band first.
And do you have any other tips for someone who wants to make their own startup or business?
Yeah, I mean, the other one of the things that I've heard a lot of young people, professionals, kind of think about is, oh, I need this perfect idea. I need to find this amazing idea first before I can do something about it. Uh, I would encourage those people to say, it's not about a perfect idea. I mean, it's not like people have not done well in ideas which have not been the perfect ideas. Uh, uh, Pick a problem first that you care about. And once you have a problem that you identified, develop a tiny prototype or a tiny version of your solution and show it to real customers or show it to real people who can give you feedback. And I think that is where most people struggle. They will not start till they find the perfect idea. And I think that's the biggest challenge in coming up with something that's worthwhile. So, my best guidance is don't wait for the perfect idea. Just start somewhere. Just start with one problem that you face as an individual on a daily basis and create something. Create a small little solution. I mean, we call it the MVP or minimum viable product. So create a minimum viable product or a minimum viable thing and give it in the hands of people, real customers, real users, and get real feedback from them. I think that journey will be a lot more rewarding for you to come up with something which is worthwhile, and then you can build on it. Of course, you can create something bigger and brighter, but start somewhere and learn from experiments as well. Even if that idea does not work, does not go anywhere, you learn from failures. So failures are your best teacher. Success is your worst teacher. And honestly, the best teachers are your failures. So if you fail, that would be great. If you win, that would be great as well, right? So there's no harm in trying and there's no harm in coming up with something that you can ship. So I believe picking up a thing that you care about and then shipping it in hand of customers, learning from it. I think that's a loop most people do not pay as much attention towards. And that's the best recommendation, best guidance to young entrepreneurs.
Yeah, of course. So, looking forward to the future, 10 to 20 years, what like emerging technologies of AI do you think would like reshape the world?
Well, if you ask anyone today, they're gonna put a lot of weight to AI and how AI-based innovations are gonna change the face of the world. Uh, I truly believe AI will always be there, but it'll always be in the background. The foreground will be people to people communication, people to people engagement. So the biggest innovation, the biggest changes that you'll see in the world is how important human connections will be, how important human to human connections will be, how important humans' ability to do things that they want to do will be, as we delegate or relegate everything else to AI. I mean, think about it, right? I mean, the biggest beneficiaries of AI or the biggest value of AI is not that, not that the world is going to be look very different, but then, but the biggest beneficiary of AI is a human race, which will have more time on their hands. Which does not have to do all the grunt work that they used to do. They can delegate all of that to AI. So I think the future humans will have a lot more time, lot more energy, lot more capacity to make much more stronger connections, be out there, explore more things that they want to do. So in-person experiences, in-person activities, things that make my life easier, and things that give me more human connections, human touch points. To me, those will be the more important innovations of the next century, as opposed to purely technological advancements. Who as an individual, or who as a or as a community? What do you mean?
As a group.
Yeah, I think, as I said earlier, right? I mean, everyone is going to benefit from the AI based innovations that we're all seeing around us. But the biggest beneficiaries will be, um, the young ones, the 5 year olds, the 10 year olds, which are early in the cycle of innovation, and they become the and technology becomes a dominant way that they communicate and they work with. They will be the biggest beneficiaries of technology and the new world, but also the biggest community that will benefit from a lot of long range impact of innovation, like better healthcare systems, better technology, better usability of our platforms, better more informed world around us. So I guess people at your age, people who are in schools today, they will benefit the most. They will have access to a lot more tools than any other community, any other part of the demographic has ever had. Like, we will have to adjust. A lot of demographic will have to adjust to the change. You will be native to this change. You'll be building on this change. So I guess that's really my parting guidance, right? Don't see this as a change. See this as native to you, native world that you'll be building together. So make the most of it. Make the most of this opportunity to shape the world around you. But at the same time, focus on what's meaningful. Don't lose human to human connections.
Okay, thank you for your time.